Leaders and the Big Mo. Nothing to do with Movember and the cancer drive of growing moustache. Something totally different. Leaders and momentum. The Big Mo. Welcome to this episode. Welcome to this channel. If you enjoy the content, please like it. Please comment. And I would be honored if I could earn your subscription. John Maxwell once said, "Momentum is a leader's best friend, and lack of it can be your worst enemy." And I think all of us have experienced this to some degree. When there's momentum, things are working well, it's going well, but when there's no momentum, it's a struggle. Now, what is momentum? If you go to physics, you probably remember from school or from university, there's a little formula. So they say momentum is the product of mass and velocity. P equals mv. So momentum is created by an object, the mass of that object, and it's moving forward. It creates momentum. So the heavier and the faster, the more the momentum. For instance, the speed of a delivery truck, a big delivery truck, at 100 kilometers per hour, hitting something or someone is very more intense and much more intense than a bicycle with not a very overweight person on that bicycle driving or riding at 25 kilometers an hour, hitting something or someone. That's the difference between no momentum and a lot of momentum. Momentum has got to do with the mass and the velocity. But when we talk about momentum in an organization or momentum in your ministry, in your leadership, in your church, what would that be? Andy Stanley's got a definition of momentum. He calls it the following: it's forward motion that grows from a series of victories. And I think, again, you may have experienced this in your church or your ministry, in your leadership. When there's a few victories, there's momentum. Just think about when you train for something. As soon as you've had 3 or 4 runs, say for instance you start running, 3 or 4 runs, you go for jogs and you get better. You get that little small victories. It becomes easier to get up in the morning, to go for a jog and to run and to go even farther. So, momentum is the series of victories. And if you want to have that, your best friend alongside you, you as a leader must know how to create a series of victories. It's very important. Because when there's momentum in the organization, everybody is positive. When there's momentum, growth becomes easy. Decision making is quick and easy when there's momentum. Problems look totally different when there's momentum. If there's no momentum, they look like giants. But when there's momentum, it just brushes it aside. Meetings become joyous occasions. Negativity is easily overcome. But the opposite is also true. If there's no momentum, everybody's not positive. Growth becomes a problem. Decision making, it becomes a painful process because people are not sure, must we make this decision or not? So we overanalyze, overthink. The problems, small problems, they look big because there's no momentum. And meetings become like appointments at a dentist. It's painful. You look up to it. You don't look forward to it. And negativity is not that easily overcome. So 3 things that helps us to create momentum in our organization, in our church, in our ministry. First thing, something new. There's just something about newness. When you introduce something new, a new program or new leadership or a new ministry, a new direction, it just creates momentum. If you continue on the same road, you will eventually lose momentum. But as soon as you rally people and you put them in a new direction, or you introduce something new, I have experienced it time and time and again. When we add a new staff member on the staff, it just brings momentum. When we add a new program to the church, it just adds momentum, a direction. I know of a church that went through a rebranding process just now. And the momentum, that new rebranding, they changed their name. And that whole new rebranding, it just brought in a lot of momentum. A new series that you teach or preach, a new look, new packaging, your building, something new to the building, moving from buildings, new decor in your buildings. It just creates momentum, something new. Also, something better creates momentum. If there's this relentless pursuit to do things better on a weekly basis, it will eventually create momentum, because people will know we tried to do it better, we succeeded, so that's a victory. So we're going to do it better again. And then when we succeed, it becomes a series of victories in your organization, in your ministry, and it just builds momentum. It's important to look at what you are doing, to analyze what you are doing. In our church, we jokingly say on a Tuesday when we have our meeting, that we discuss the previous Sunday. We discuss the service. We call it the post-mortem, because it's already done and dusted, but we visit it again. Why? Because we want to know what worked, what didn't work, what can we do better. And when you better things, it creates momentum. I always, when I teach on change, I put up the following 4 words on the screen, and I'm going to put it up at the screen and you can look at it now. It's iyat, viyat, yach, vayach. It sounds Arabic, but it's not. It's actually just acronyms that stand for the following. Acronyms that stand for the following. If you always do what you always did, you'll always get what you always got. Are you happy with what you are getting at the moment? Are you happy with the direction, with the momentum of your leadership, your organization, your ministry, your church? Because if you always do what you always did, you'll always get what you always got. So change what you are doing, then you'll get something different. And that something different, that something better, will in the end create momentum. I think we need to be relentless regarding our excellence levels in our churches and in our ministries. We must better everything on a regular basis to create momentum. There's a Japanese word, kaizen. And I learned this from a book that I've read, Kaizen, the pursuit of continuous improvement. And I think it's one of the mottos of a motoring manufacturing company like Toyota, is Kaizen, the pursuit of continuous improvement. I want to better my product. I want to make it the best that it can be. I will revisit it, even if it's a post-mortem. What worked? What didn't work? What can we do better? The pursuit of continuous improvement. 3 things that can help with momentum. So what's the third one? Something intentional. So something new, very important. Second, something better. The pursuit of improvement. Finally, something intentional. Intentionality creates momentum in a ministry. And regarding this, I want to contribute my own little formula. I'm not a mathematician, but there's a formula on the screen that says that M for momentum is the product of Fi and T. It's the product of Fi and T. Fi times T, put it in brackets, it equals momentum. What do I mean with this? Focused intensity over time will inevitably give you momentum. Are you when you focus on something and you are intentional about it? A lot of people are intentional, but they're not focused. We do all kinds of things. Focused intensity. What is it that we're trying to do? And we do it on a regular basis. We keep on keeping on, keep on keeping on, keep on keeping. That's a focused intention over time. Not just for a week, not just for two. You know that Malcolm Gladwell speaks about a tipping point. At some stage, you build and you build and you build and nothing's happening. And then just one day, it tips. And it becomes like a snowball effect. That's what happens with this little formula. A focused intensity over time will create momentum in your organization. So what can that be, that focused intensity? It can be a leadership program that you introduce for your volunteers, for your leaders. It can be an addition to your staff, and that person with this relentless pursuit to go for excellence and to better the music in your church. Say, for instance, if it's a music addition. It can be like we often do in the third term. You know, July up until the end of September is usually a period in the church where the winter is still there, people are losing momentum. Then we have what we call a 40 days campaign. And it's a focused intensity over a period, a specific period. That's all we do. We focus it, we hammer it, we hammer it, we hammer it. We continue with it, we improve it. And in the end, it creates momentum. It has been the case every year we did that. So my question is, if you look at that formula, I'm going to put it up on the screen again. That formula, the brackets, Fi times T. My question to you would be the following. What are you as a leader? What are you putting into that brackets? Because here's the thing. God can only bless what you put in that brackets, the focused intensity over time. That's what He blesses. I always speak about God is blessing versus what is God blessing. Easily we say, oh, you know, the Lord is blessing us. That's why it's going well in our church. Really? What you are saying actually is the poor pastor next to you, your neighboring pastor, is probably not going well in his church due to a different season that they're in. You're saying that the Lord is not blessing them. The question is actually not, is the Lord blessing me? But what am I doing that He can bless? What is the Lord blessing? What are the ministries in your church that God is blessing? So, what are you putting in the brackets? Because that thing, God will come and exponentially multiply, and it will create momentum. One of my favorite verses actually speaks into this. Galatians 6 verse 9. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap the harvest if we do not give up. Let's read it backwards. I'm going to keep it on the screen. Let's read it backwards. We will reap a harvest. There's a harvest. There's momentum. There's growth that you can experience as a leader. But what are you putting in the brackets? He's saying, let us not become weary of doing good, the good things. That focused intensity that you are putting there, and you are hammering it and doing it over time, time after time. Because then you will reap. And then there's a little caution at the end of this verse. If we do not give up. Sometimes we give up just before, we reach the tipping point and where the momentum comes. I want you to discover that momentum can be your best friend. So I want to leave you with this. If the big mo, the momentum thing, if it is our best friend as leaders, we must do everything in our power possible to create this momentum. Maybe it's something new. Maybe it's something better that you must improve on. Maybe It's just an intentional thing that you must start to do over time until you reach that tipping point. May the big Mo be your best friend as a leader.